Low light, put the light on. It's cracking the flags outside. What you're looking at there is a dismantled pressure washer. I actually started my pressure washing hustle, I wouldn't call it a fully fledged business just yet, a couple of months ago, with a job lot of stuff that I bought together with a van. But after having completed, I think I've done about 8 jobs. I did 3 or 4 just for the immediate neighbours very cheaply. The last job I did though, I quoted £280 for, and they said, is that just the back? So I said, how about 300 for the whole property, which they were really very pleased with. I wasn't pleased with because it took me all day, but you know, I think it shows that pressure washing and exterior cleaning does have quite a high degree of profit potential. But the downside is, of course, when your pump breaks, or at least I think the pump is intact because I've managed to dismantle it, and I believe the culprit, so I don't know where anything's gone now. This is a K1 unloader valve, and I think that's stuck in bypass mode. I'm using a tank system. I'll show you. I've got this wheelie bin set up. We've got the spigot on the bottom and return to tank gubbins on the side. I think that's the pretty standard amateur way of doing, I was going to say amateur way of doing professional pressure washing, but that doesn't make sense. The enthusiastic amateur's way. But having decided to remove this unloader valve because it's not working, I've stripped down the pump. Everything looks to be intact. There's no cracks in these ceramic bits inside the pistons. However, the oil inside the pump was black. I'm not sure even how old this engine is, so I've drained the oil out of it. And so of course I decided that it could do with a good service, and I've basically ended up dismantling it, or at least dismantling it to a degree. I've got the spark plug soaking in vinegar here. I mean, it was actually starting on the first pull, or at least second pull most of the time, but this was black, so that's come up quite nicely. So top tip there, if you've got a dirty spark plug, soak it in vinegar overnight. I've also made this rust removal potion. I saw the recipe for this on a channel. It was a channel about ballistics and gun restoration, so I'll post a link to the recipe. But this, is that a throttle linkage? It's the bit that makes it go broom broom. That was all rusted up and just stuck basically. So yeah, I got this trolley from ECA Cleaning, place based in Cirencester, actually near where I used to live. So I kind of made a bit of a Frankenstein's monster of a machine out of the items that came with the van I bought. I also got these reels. The problem is, I've got, you know, I'm not getting any use out of them. So I think my current aim is probably to, you know, get this machine working, sell it on, and actually try and conjure up a van mounted system as cheaply as possible. If you look at the suppliers of van mounted machines, you know, you can pay 15,000 to 20,000 for a pressure washer, but even paying a few thousand, it just wouldn't be worth it for me at the moment, since, you know, I think last month I did, not last month from the first to the last day of the month, but over the course of a month, I think I did about £1,400 worth of pressure washing jobs. And that was including some cheaply priced ones for the neighbours. One I did for £100. Took me, well, I realised I wasn't going to finish it in a day. So it took me, all in all, I think it took me about 10 hours. But that was my first one, so, you know, we made an agreement for it to be £100 because they were the first customer. But obviously no pressure washing can be done with the machine in this state. And this is it's an Interpump W154, which if you look up the specs for, only puts out, I think, 14 litres per minute at 150 bar. When you've got the turbo nozzle on, it's still pretty potent, and it just about runs a surface cleaner. I've got, where's it gone? Yeah, I got this little Suttner turbo nozzle, and that is, yeah, I mean, that's a great little bit of kit. But the if you're not a pressure washing connoisseur, you won't know that the nozzles are matched to the flow rate of the machine. So you know, it turns an otherwise pretty wimpy machine into a bit of a beast. Yeah, I've drained the oil. I can't get the oil out of the gearbox though. The sump plug on the gearbox is completely stuck. So I think the plan is to put this back together, find someone who can tell me if this valve is dead. I believe it is. And I've seen a real bargain on a second-hand GX340 based machine in North Wales. So I'm going to go on a trip to pick that up next week. And I saw a guy who has an exterior cleaning channel who made his own van mounted frame out of, it's like, I don't know what you call it. It's like a box section steel channel, readily available online. Because one of the other reasons I don't want to invest in a van mounted setup is not just the cost. It's that my van is a 12-year-old electric Renault Kangoo, so you know, it doesn't really justify the cost. However, if I can make my own and make it as economically as possible, then, you know, it might tide me over until I can prove or disprove whether I can make this into a real business. But as it stands, that's the state things are in. It's quite annoying because I did have a job booked in for Wednesday, and I think, you know, I'd quoted £180 for that one, and I think it wouldn't have taken me too long at all. But that can't be done if the machine's in bits. So hopefully by next week, well, sometime next week, I'll have a machine that's fit for purpose. I also got this spare engine with the original van that I bought, because that was attached to a generator, but it's got the Morse taper end on, what do you call that bit, the shaft, and that shaft doesn't fit pressure washer pumps. But what I'm going to do is, although this exhaust is slightly battered, I'm going to swap that exhaust onto this machine, because, I mean, you can see there's just some things that are getting thrown away. That's what the exhaust looked like on this machine. I mean, the engine was actually running perfectly well. It's the pump where the problem is, but I thought this can either be a backup machine when I get the new one, or the new second-hand one, or this can be sold. I was thinking it might be quite nice to make it into a dedicated machine with a slightly smaller, lower pressure pump on for doing biocide spraying of roofs. Because I've seen on, is it Sid who has the Partridge exterior cleaning channel? Like, he does a lot of roofs and a lot of everything. And I think they can be quite profitable. I also, yeah, I ended up taking the rocker cover off here, if that's what you call it. The bit that covers these. And now it needs a new gasket, and nobody local's got one. The silly thing is, you can buy the whole gasket and cover assembly for about £6, but to get a gasket posted is about a tenner. So I might just have to buy a new one of those, but luckily they're quite cheap. Yeah, so that's it. Bit of an intro to the channel. The other problem I've been having completing the jobs I've done is I've got a lot of pressure hose and no trolley to mount it on. So that's another reason I'd quite like to build a van mounted setup, so I can employ these hoses and just get, not hoses, they're hose reels, you know what I mean. So I can get these hoses, I've said it again, these hose reels, put them to some use. And hopefully another thing I'd like to do is get this garage tidied up. I built this little setup I think last October, and it was all neat and tidy, but it's all just gone to shit. Got my cheap Chinese electric bike over here. This is an absolute beauty. This can reach thrillingly illegal speeds of 20 miles an hour. If you're unaware, the legal limit for pedal assist in the UK, I believe, is 15.5 miles an hour, but you know, I'm a bit dangerous.